Hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm a rising senior at SR High School, and for my main project I am making an automatic plant watering device. So when the soil is dry, the device will turn on and this motor will be on, and eventually I'll put on a tubing so that water could be transferred from the water reservoir to the soil. But when the soil is wet, the motor should turn off so that it won't be overwatered. So right now, I have soil sensors that are connected to the circuit using wires and then connected to the two containers using binder clips. And so right now the soil is dry. So when I plug it into the 5-volt power supply, it should turn on the motor. So you might not be able to hear, but the motor is on. And then if I wanted to test when the soil is dry, so technically this would have a tubing going from here to here, putting water in here. And then when the soil was dry, I could test that by just putting the soil sensor to the water. So this would be like if it was wet. And so the motor turns off and the soil light turns on. So the way that this works is using a circuit. This is the circuit, and there is a MOSFET transistor that kind of acts like a switch. So when the soil is dry, the switch will open and turn on the motor, but when it's wet, it will close it and the motor will turn off. And there's also two other transistors, a PNP and an NPN transistor, that are connected to, each of them are connected to an LED and to each sensor. And they also act like a switch, and the lights will turn on or off, which is a good way to test if the circuit's working. And then the circuit also has a diode to make sure that the current is only flowing one way through the motor, and also it has a bunch of resistors to make sure that the current won't overflow and it will just control the current. And when making this project, you just have to make sure that all the connections are in the right place, and it could be really tedious, but for me it took a while to figure out what wasn't working. So just make sure to triple check that everything's in the right place. And also you could test all the connections using a multimeter to make sure that they're all working. And it was really fun to be able to test out the circuit on a breadboard, and eventually I'll solder it into a perf board to make it more permanent. So thanks for watching.